A while ago, we did What If Naruto Were Reborn with all of his memories and powers, and you all seemed to like that a lot. So much so that we received requests for the same treatment to be given to Sasuke. Kinda makes me wonder what would happen if we were to do this with other characters as well. Imagine what we could do with Obito, Kakashi. It could be something incredible if done correctly. But while I'm marveling at the possibilities, I need to stay grounded. Before I can tackle any of those ideas, I gotta finish the one I've already started, so I hope you'll all join me for this. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. As Sasuke sat there again before Kakashi, the rest of his group were introducing themselves. His entire life had become a massive state of deja vu, but so much had changed. He thought about the Uchiha clan and how they had survived, about how his father never truly wanted to go along with any of it, about the premature death of Danzo, which so far had left Konoha stumped, the survival of Shisui, and the fact that the truth about the Uchiha stone monument had come to light. By this point in time, Sasuke was wearing an eye patch to cover his eye, having told people that he lost it in an accident. This was enough to convince most. After all, most Uchiha could turn their dojutsu off, so why hide it? There was no reason to doubt his claims. He also did his best to hide his Mangekyou from others, not that they would care if he did. It was just that he liked to play his cards close to his chest, and he was doing the best he could to avoid making a big splash in the timeline, though he assumed it was probably far too late for that. He had also recently informed Itachi that the cough in his chest was more than just a cough, and had sent him specifically to seek out Tsunade under orders from Hiruzen, who would ask his former student to treat Itachi with care. Due to this, Itachi was in remission of his illness, with a close eye being kept on it. The outlook was good. Sasuke had always known that it would be a futile effort trying to keep the timeline the same, and that by him simply having this knowledge and ability at all, it would cause a butterfly effect. He had come into this believing that they shouldn't be messing with anything at all. After all, he and Naruto had already made a happy ending, but despite the fact of what he believed and what he'd hoped to do, it was obvious already that some things were changing. And perhaps it was still the untamed youth in his heart, something that perhaps one day he'd grow out of, but he couldn't help but be tempted. His temptation was to have his cake and eat it too, a terrifying temptation. But he knew that if he and Naruto stuck close, if Naruto continued to make strides in his growth, and Sasuke continued to grow stronger himself, that nothing could stand in their way. First things first, Sasuke needed to find a way to deal with the known threats of the village. He needed to deal with the Akatsuki. He was only considering the way he would do so. And what of Orochimaru? Orochimaru was complicated. Having been killed, but having also had a new lease on life established, Orochimaru had somewhat mellowed out over the years, even becoming somewhat friendly to Konoha. But that was a long journey, to get from point A to point F, stopping at all the letters in between. He wondered if there was a way to preserve Orochimaru's change of heart, or if that was too big of an ask. As Sasuke pondered these things, he heard someone call his name. Sasuke. Sasuke looked over to see the entire group staring at him. Kakashi then spoke again. Are you going to introduce yourself to us? Sasuke looked around. Why? You already know my name. Kakashi rubbed his face. Yes, but we need more than that. Sasuke smiled at the thought. And what if I decided that my likes and dislikes, my dreams and desires were none of your business? Kakashi looked over at him. There seemed to be a certain pleased look upon his face, hidden by his gaiter. I guess I can't argue with that, Kakashi said. That would have been Kakashi's answer as well, and Sasuke knew it. So what, we're just not gonna get to know what Sasuke's goals are, Naruto asked? Kakashi shrugged. Can't exactly force him to give that information up. Besides, it's a good thing for shinobi to play their cards close to their chest. Divulge as little information about yourself as possible. Keeps the enemy guessing. And what about your friends, Sakura asked. Kakashi looked over to her. The steady leakage of information insinuates that the most important things about you can't be hidden from your allies for long. You may not know much of his personal life, but who he is as a member of your team is what's most important, and you'll discover that soon enough. Kakashi pushed away from the railing. Come with me. As they walked, Sasuke knew exactly what it was that Kakashi was going to do, but he played along. Getting out to the woods, Kakashi would explain what he was going to do next, but wouldn't divulge the entirety of the plan. Sasuke, of course, already knew, but that being said, he wanted to safeguard the growth of Naruto, so for that reason he wouldn't give away Kakashi's secret. At this point, Sasuke had everything he was required to have to get the bells on his own, but he knew that this wasn't about him. This was about Naruto and Sakura. They needed to learn the lesson, and he couldn't just tell them the answers. He knew their potential. He needed them to see it as well. So he tried to do the same as before, but old habits die hard. Sasuke had grown so accustomed to his vigilance that it was more trouble nerfing himself than it would have been to defeat Kakashi. And to a point, Kakashi noticed this. Imagine for a moment that you are Kakashi, and the Genin Sasuke stands before you. The moment you launch a secret attack that even higher level Jonin wouldn't attack, Sasuke flinches, but then doesn't move to get out of the way, only taking the shot, but somehow doing so in such a way that he takes the minimal amount of damage. What would you think? Kakashi knows that Sasuke is secretly suppressing his potential to help the others keep up. He doesn't speak on it though, not yet. He lets things play out, and as he does, Naruto continues trying to get the bells, but after enough humiliation, he begins to lose faith in their ability to pass the test, and decides to eat the lunches all by himself. This gets him caught quickly by Kakashi. This results in Team 7 being allowed a lunch break, all except Naruto. Kakashi had told them that he would automatically fail them if they tried to feed Naruto. He then left them to their own devices. Naruto sat there, his tummy rumbling. Sasuke walked over to the monument in their vision. He started reading the names off of the monument. He then looked back at Naruto. Do you know what this is? Why these names are here? These are the names of the shinobi who paid the ultimate price for their village. They're true heroes and should never be forgotten. Do you not understand the meaning of this test? Naruto scoffed. If you do, then tell me. Sasuke walked over and knelt down in front of Naruto. Sacrifice. Sacrifice and teamwork. It's an exercise in selflessness. It's an exercise meant to help us detach from our own good and focus on the greater good. There are 2 bells, which means only 2 can pass. One of us will fail, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try to help our team. Even if one of us goes home, for the good of the whole team, we should all try, because being a good shinobi isn't always about your skill, but about your heart. Doing what is right and being willing to do what's best for the village and for your team, regardless of the consequences. Allow me to show you what I mean. Sasuke pulled out his bento box and opened it up, displaying the rice within. Naruto, even though you tried to steal this from me, and even though I know that getting caught will cause me to fail, I'm going to feed you. Because in the end, it's you who matters, not me. He begins to feed Naruto, all the while Sakura is fawning over his wisdom and pure heart. Sakura can't help but join in. In the distance, Kakashi was startled by how much Sasuke truly knew about this. Kakashi would exit the woods and stand over them. You guys know this means you both fail, right? Sasuke didn't even look back at him. He just kept feeding Naruto, responding only with a nod. Why would you do that? Kakashi asked. Because a team is a single unit. If Naruto's weak, then we're all weak. And if one of us must sacrifice ourselves so the team can succeed, then it has to happen. Doesn't change our objectives in the least. Kakashi put his hands on Sasuke and Sakura's shoulders. I've been waiting for a team who could understand the meaning of this test, and I think I've finally found it. From there, Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura became members of Team 7 under Kakashi Hatake. They would celebrate and return to their homes. Sasuke would sit down in a chair at the desk. He would pull out a journal and a pencil. He began to write all of the events of the day down in the form of a letter, as if he were addressing it to someone else. As he flipped through the pages to the front, he stopped and looked at the opening page. There was a delicately drawn image of Sakura there, straight from his memory. The face he saw in his dreams every night. And though he knew Sakura in this world, knowing it was the same Sakura, just having a different experience of the past, he couldn't help but think back to the Sakura he knew. It felt different, and deep down, that made him sad. As he looked the image over, he recalled the letter she had sent to him about their firstborn. Despite the fact that his expression hadn't changed, tears began to roll down his cheeks. The hooded figure who had met with Sasuke before had long since discarded his cloak. The lavender skin and white hair, the crimson eyes hidden behind yellow-tinted glasses, Fu watched. Not a smile on his face at all, not even a word passing from his mouth. He had never really watched Sasuke cry before. He had, but only in times of great heartache and pain. That was the only time that Sasuke ever seemed to cry, from loss. The loss of something precious to him. And now, as he watched Sasuke crying, he could only wonder about the pain. Perhaps deep down there was a conscience hiding under all of that mad scientist that had been heaped upon his heart. He thought about it deeply as he did. Sasuke fell asleep by that journal. Only an open window and a gust of wind seemed to change. It was enough of a change to wake him up. When he did, he looked at something that had been placed into his hand. It was a picture. A picture of an older Sasuke standing hugged against an older Sakura, like the one he knew, yet they seemed older than Sasuke had remembered. In front of them was a young, black-haired little girl. A perfect fusion of Sasuke and Sakura. It was their baby. The little girl. The back of the picture said Sasuke, Sakura, and Sarada on it. Sasuke's expression broke a little as the tears overflowed. A smile scrawled across his lips. He placed the picture into the journal and pulled the book into a hug. On a distant roof, Fu watched with a solemn smile. "Keep soldiering on, champ. Everything'll turn out right if you keep trying. I believe in you." And a moment later, Fu was gone. The day after, they continued doing their thing. All they really could do at this moment was regular chore-level missions. That's all that was allowed for a Genin. It was just the way of the system. Sasuke had long since become a bit of a stoic since his return to Konoha. Instead of worrying about things that could upset him, he let them roll off his back and learned to be content with what he had. And right now, he had friends, and he had peace. It gave him enough time to mull over the future and better decide what to do. The location of the Akatsuki might not be as easy to locate now. Time had changed enough. But what was still important was making sure Naruto reached his full strength. He would be needed in the future, but how would he do that? What could give Naruto the motivation to grow stronger? That was the question indeed. Eventually, Naruto's need to prove himself results in them being granted the Land of Waves mission, in which they'd be sent to escort Tazuna to the bridge in the village of the same name as the mission title. On their way, they encountered the Demon Brothers. Now, Sasuke knew they were there before even the Demon Brothers knew they were there, but that didn't change his reaction to them, nor did it change to his reaction to the first appearance of Zabuza. Sasuke just pushed to keep everything the same. He personally defeated the Demon Brothers, and then he used Naruto's feint to free Kakashi. He watched Haku take Zabuza's body away, knowing that Zabuza was still alive. This began to call into question the implications of letting people die when he could stop it. The implications of killing people who could be saved when he could stop it. It was true that he could change the future, and to a point he already had. As Sasuke rested at the home of Tazuna, allowing Kakashi to regather his strength, all he could do was think about that. As Sasuke sat there, he knew his mind was wandering into the domain of God, and that no man could truly carry the weight of the future, past, and present without divine assistance. And that being said, that purple-skinned fellow didn't seem to be quite divine. So Sasuke came up with a better plan. He would continue to live his life here, and would do what he thought was best when the time came. It was then that Kakashi told them that they would not be spending this downtime sitting on their keisters. Nope, they were going to have to train, and train well they would. All except for Sasuke, who already knew the lesson Kakashi was attempting to teach him. But to that end, he continued to fail, and the more he failed, the more Kakashi noticed he was faking. As the night continued, Sasuke would eventually feel like he'd been training quite long enough, and so he made it to the top of the tree, displaying false effort in completing the task. He would return to the home where he'd spend the rest of his day. That was when he was approached by Kakashi. Kakashi sat down beside him. "Who are you?" he asked. Sasuke looked over cautiously. "I'm Sasuke. Don't you recognize me?" Kakashi shook his head. "No, I mean, who is Sasuke? I think there's something you're not telling me." Sasuke looked away. "I don't know what you're talking about." Kakashi waited a moment and then spoke. "You're holding back. You've always been holding back. If I didn't know better, I would think you were stronger than even I am." Sasuke would remain silent before Kakashi continued. "I don't know better, do I?" Sasuke took a deep breath. "What are you trying to get at, Kakashi-sensei?" Kakashi looked back out toward the tree line where Naruto was still training. "You've been displaying abilities and skills that a child shouldn't be able to display. I recall when we were doing the bell test, how your body movement suggested someone of higher skill than even Chunin. Your movements, reactions, and intuition were well beyond Jonin level. And just today I watched you intentionally fail for a few hours to make it look like you were still learning. You know what you're doing. It makes me wonder if you're even Sasuke at all." "You can move the kunai from the back of my neck now," Sasuke said. The entire time Kakashi had been talking, he'd been positioning a kunai to the back of Sasuke's neck just in case Sasuke attempted to attack. "I will, when you explain what you are to me." Sasuke looked at the sky with a sigh. "I feel like there are some things human beings shouldn't know, but you know them. Or are you insinuating that you're not human?" Sasuke looked back at Kakashi. "I'm human, but I shouldn't know this information. And I feel as though telling you would only expand the egregious nature of my existence here." "Try me," Kakashi said. "Do you believe in time travel, Kakashi-sensei?" Kakashi thought about it. "It's possible, I think. Are you saying that you are a time traveler?" "Yes," Sasuke said bluntly. "Prove it then," Kakashi said. "If you can prove it, then I'll know it's true." Sasuke shook his head. "It doesn't work that way, Kakashi-sensei. There's a fallacy in what you're asking me to do. I cannot prove I'm from the future. The only thing I could do is give you foreknowledge of events, but even that isn't infallible. That could simply be used to implicate me in negative events and ruining trust. Or even if I told you, there is therefore a possibility it won't happen. I've heard stories of time travelers. When they return from the future, or supposedly return from the future, they bring with them information that then people must wait until a certain time to prove true. But because they're waiting for a spontaneous event to occur, it's no longer a spontaneous event, and thus people begin to wonder if the time traveler is telling the truth. And the future I come from is already an impossibility due to the survival of the Uchiha. Any information I give you now would be outdated and no longer completely accurate due to a butterfly effect. Sasuke's logic was something Kakashi considered greatly. If that's true then, how can I trust you? Sasuke thought about it. I can share with you a personal secret, something that few people outside of my immediate family know. You're the only one besides them to know the truth of my origin and the extent of my abilities. Sasuke removed his eye patch to display his Rinnegan, and then activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. Choku Tomoe. I have an eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and a Rinnegan. Both of these are something I shouldn't logically have at this point. The Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is a fusion of my own and Itachi's Mangekyo, yet Itachi still has his eyes. There are 2 sets of the same eyes running around this timeline. This is all I can use to definitively prove that I'm a time traveler. It's up to you to accept it or not. Let my knowledge and strange dojutsu be my witness. Kakashi looked at them. Itachi has the Mangekyo Sharingan? Sasuke then realized it. Itachi would have only awakened the Mangekyo if Shisui had perished. Sasuke looked down. Damn it, he hasn't awakened it yet. Sasuke looked back. Well, I'll give you something then. Sasuke pulled out a piece of paper and a pen. He then drew the design of Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan. If Itachi ever awakens the Mangekyo Sharingan, he will look like this. He gives it to Kakashi. Kakashi looks it over with his own Sharingan. He then looks to Sasuke. Peering into his eyes, he could see into the boy's soul. Fine, I'll trust you. But how do you plan to deal with the events you already know about? Sasuke shook his head. I don't know. Tomorrow we'll meet Zabuza and Haku again. They're dangerous, and Zabuza is a killer to the core, but deep down he truly loves Haku. And deep down, Haku just wants to be loved. He'll do anything to be loved, even if that means compromising his own will by killing. I don't know if I should save them or continue with the timeline. I don't even know if I can save them. Kakashi looked down and nodded. Whatever happens tomorrow is going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Try your best, but if it fails, then promise me you won't let it affect you. Sasuke nodded. Kakashi stood up and went back inside. Sasuke would follow after a few more moments. The morning after, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi were going to leave. Under Sasuke's request, they left Naruto at the house to sleep. There they waited, and just as stated before, Haku and Zabuza showed up. Sasuke told Kakashi to try his best against Zabuza and to remember that his life came before Zabuza's. Kakashi stated that he already knew this and went to face him. Sasuke would face off against Haku alone, and there he would tell Haku to stand down. The masked boy seemed shocked that Sasuke already knew his name. Take that mask off, Haku, Sasuke told him. I want nothing to be between us as we speak. Haku removed his mask. How do you know my name, he asked. Sasuke looked at him. Imagine for a moment that as an Uchiha, I can see into the future. Imagine I can see long distances into it with the power of my Sharingan. Sasuke displayed his Mangekyo. Haku listened. Imagine I tell you that today you and your master die. Haku seemed to grow defensive, yet Sasuke remained still. That's not a threat, Haku. It's a warning. I don't want you to die. And how do you know the future? What proof do you have? Sasuke sighed. Unless something has changed, the next technique you plan to use against me is the demonic mirroring ice crystals technique. You'll merge with the mirrors and then throw Senbon at all my Tenketsu in an attempt to kill me, though you would have held back originally, likely only to subdue me. Haku seemed shocked by this. That was actually what he was planning. How do I know you didn't simply read my mind? Does it matter, Sasuke asked. It only means that I know what your attacks will be, meaning there's a good chance you would die. But more than that, it won't be my hand that kills you. It'll be Kakashi's. He'll have Zabuza cornered, and in a last-ditch effort to protect your master, you'll dive in front of his Chidori and die. Your body will be disrespected by Gato, and Zabuza will then turn on Gato and kill him and his henchmen before he himself is killed. I tell you this to convince you to stop walking this path. If you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword as well. It's the only life we've ever known, and there's nowhere for us to go where we won't be hunted. If we give up this life, we die as well, so what hope is there for us then? We're wanted men, and a quick death at your hands will be better than what awaits us in Kiri. Sasuke shook his head. Please don't make me do this. Haku put his mask back on. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. It just has to be this way. Sasuke lifted his eye patch. No, I'm sorry. Sasuke would suddenly use Ameno Tejikara to switch places with Haku's mask, tackling the boy and pressing a kunai to his throat. He pressed it in hard, and with a strong flick, he attempted to kill him as quickly as possible so as to not cause him to feel pain. Kakashi saw this and knew that there was likely no way to save them now, so he began to fight even more viciously against Zabuza. When he got the opening, he utilized Chidori to kill Zabuza. Sasuke stood there, thinking about what he had done. Kakashi would approach him. "You did what you had to do," he said. Sasuke nodded. "I've done nothing that I should be ashamed of, but that doesn't mean that I don't wish Haku had chosen something else." Kakashi nodded. "You did well." It was then that Gato and his men appeared. Gato started to monologue a bit, but Sasuke was having none of it. He simply cast a Matarasu and watched Gato's flaming body jump into the water in a futile effort to smother the flames. Sasuke then used his Susanoo to push the others off the bridge. It was around then that Naruto showed up, witnessing the purple avatar. With the bridge protected and the battle over, Team 7 decided to leave the village. They returned to Konoha, where the Chunin exams were taking place. "Kakashi-sensei, a word please," Sasuke said as he pulled him to the side. "I need you to get us into the exams," he said. Kakashi was confused. "You mean the Chunin exams? Well, it's obvious that you're of the proper skill level, but..." Sasuke shook his head. "Forget about all that. In the original timeline, you had us participate. A lot of big things occur here. One thing that will happen is the reemergence of Orochimaru. He'll be out for revenge. Originally, in the past timeline, he was here for me, but now that other Uchiha exist, that may be different." Kakashi thought about it. "All right, I understand. I'll see what I can do." And so Kakashi would have Team 7 added to the Chunin exams. The first thing that would happen would be the written exam, which Sasuke would be able to ace without cheating. He was, by this time, capable of answering the complex Jonin-level questions without so much as a sweat. Then, when the final question came, he took it without hesitation, knowing that it was a ruse this whole time. Due to this, Team 7 moved on to the second round, which was the Forest of Death. But to Sasuke's surprise, in the middle of the battle, Orochimaru shows up. Sasuke is confused. With so many Uchiha, why would he still care about Sasuke? That was, unless Sasuke remembered that he had the Rinnegan. Was it possible that Orochimaru was here for that? He looked at Orochimaru and noticed that in his head shined 2 Mangekyo Sharingan, pilfered from whatever Uchiha he had previously possessed. This made Orochimaru far more dangerous than he was before. Orochimaru would use his Sharingan to cast Genjutsu on Naruto and Sakura, putting them out. Sasuke was the only one free from the Genjutsu. "Now, show it to me," Orochimaru demanded. "Show me the legendary dojutsu that only the sage had once possessed." Sasuke sneered. "How did you learn about this?" Orochimaru smiled. "I have eyes and ears everywhere. You can only hide something like this for so long before someone else learns about it." Sasuke begrudgingly removed the patch from his eye, displaying it. "I hope you know the fight you just picked. I'm not gonna let you get away with what you plan to do." Orochimaru laughed. "Then try and stop me." Both shinobi then disappeared with a body flicker. They could see each other for a short time as their speed slowed. They then began to clash at high speeds. Sasuke launched up into the air, forming hand signs with only one hand, something he'd gotten used to since losing his arm. He would fire a blast of flames down at Orochimaru, who would respond in kind with a blast of water, putting out the flames and threatening Sasuke. Sasuke then quickly switched to wind style and used it to freeze the water, using it to slide back down to the battlefield where he jumped toward a tree before springing off it toward Orochimaru. He would continue to do battle against Orochimaru, pushing him back with each blow from his kunai. "You're truly every bit the firebrand I was told you are," Orochimaru said, "but don't think I don't know of your greatest weakness." Orochimaru disappeared from Sasuke's field of view. Sasuke looked around and rushed toward Orochimaru. He only stopped when he noticed Orochimaru standing there holding Sakura. "You thought you could hide all of your secrets in a journal and that they'd be safe. How cute." Sasuke knew that he had been remiss to put that down there, but he needed somewhere to vent his frustrations. Now, though, they had endangered her, and he wasn't going to let that happen. Gripping his kunai tightly, he would look to Orochimaru. "Put her down, Orochimaru, or you will regret it." Orochimaru laughed. "I don't think..." Suddenly, a blade was in Orochimaru's stomach. Orochimaru looked down to see where Sakura once was. Sasuke was now there. Sasuke gripped Orochimaru's arm and pushed it away from his throat before dragging his blade up, shattering ribs and eviscerating his heart. "For so long, you tried to take the lives of others to stall Judgment Day." He pushed Orochimaru back. "I had hoped to spare you, but you just had to threaten Sakura. Go to your grave knowing your biggest mistake was getting too ambitious for your own good." With Orochimaru dead, Sasuke took the scroll. He then released Sakura and Naruto. They would finish the test where Sasuke would mention that he had killed Orochimaru and told them exactly where the body was left. Sasuke was treated as a hero for this, and he and his team's ascension to Chunin was all but confirmed now. They'd then begin the first round of exhibitions where Sasuke had literally no issue beating his opponent. Things for Naruto went the same, resulting in him beating Kiba, and Sakura experienced the same result as well, with her losing via double KO. Sasuke would comfort her, telling her that she did well and that them killing Orochimaru was what would ensure that they'd make it to Chunin. During the month off, Sasuke saw to it that Naruto would run into Jiraiya. It would also be Sasuke who would make mention of Naruto being the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, something that would intrigue Jiraiya enough to train with him. Sasuke would train too, trying to stay sharp and see if there was anywhere he could improve. After the month had passed, he went back to the exams. Naruto would defeat Neji and Sasuke would defeat Gaara, who would try to flee. It's at this time that Otogakure launches a revenge attack on Konoha, hoping to kill Hiruzen and destroy the Leaf on behalf of their dead master, but this was not enough to hurt Hiruzen. Hiruzen easily withstood their assault, and Sasuke would travel after Gaara. He would let Naruto take the lead against Gaara in battle and defeat him. Naruto had grown stronger since the end of their training. He had managed to still learn the version 1 cloak, and with it, defeated Gaara. And it was through Naruto's words to Gaara, the same as Sasuke remembered, that Sasuke knew that Gaara would have a change of heart. Team 7 would be officially named Chunin, but by a special request of Sasuke to Kakashi, as well as Kakashi to Hiruzen, he would have Naruto sent away to train with Jiraiya. It was paramount to Sasuke that Naruto grow stronger, and Jiraiya was a keystone to Naruto's growth. Sasuke knew that for the most part, he would know peace for the next couple years, but he planned to continue growing himself until he was sure he had plateaued. Night had come. Sasuke stood outside behind the house. It was clear. He sat by the fire pit. He'd been enjoying his night. He spent his time out here reading the journal he'd written. All this information he'd been gathering, many pages filled with a poet's words toward his love. This was how Orochimaru knew Sasuke's greatest weakness. And as he read through every letter he'd written for his adventure, every hope he would return to his true love, he felt his heart shattering. He knew he couldn't let it remain, or it could prove to be a danger to the real Sakura. To that end, Sasuke made the decision. He tossed the journal into the flames and watched it burn. Then, looking down at his hand, he saw that picture of the future he'd almost had. Himself with his wife and daughter. Turning it around again, he gazed upon the names one final time before finally throwing that into the fire as well. His eyes overflowed with tears as he watched the only connection he had to the time from which he originated burn away to ash. But he steeled himself before casting Amaterasu to ensure that not even ashes remained. At first, the black flames ate at the orange fire itself before consuming it. The black flames gave off no light, only being a slow-moving darkness. They devoured the remnants of that book and whatever was left of the picture. In the distance, Fu watched. "Why did I have to choose the saddest guy to be my test subject? It's like he's allergic to fun," he said before turning and walking away. Maybe he'll be more fun when Shippuden starts. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. I was thinking about it and questioning what Sasuke would do if he went back in time. Then I remembered that Sasuke actually did. The first thing he wanted to do was damage control, but at this point there's not much he can do to separate himself from the past. It's not like he can do nothing and walk away, and keeping the timeline coherent is as hard, if not harder than changing it, so I assumed Sasuke in a position such as this would simply roll with the punches and do his best according to what he thought was right. Besides, if you had the chance to change the many things you regretted in your life, wouldn't you? Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when more videos like this drop. And while you're at it, check out these other videos from our channel. Bet you'll enjoy them. Anyway, until next time, peace out.